what role does devotion play in intensive solitary retreat practice, and how does devotion differ from what here in America we would call cultishness?
Devotion, I think, is absolutely the very key essence to understanding. But devotion without wisdom is, again, very much a dangerous thing to do. So one can't generalize and say devotion has to be exerted by everyone without first understanding what is actually devotion, how much of it is irreversible confidence, how much of it needs to come with thorough investigation and understanding. All these are very important aspects, not only in 3 years retreat, but in all forms of practices. Ultimately, it'll come down to whether you have confidence in what you are doing or not. Otherwise, you can't, the fruition is not going to happen. So, if we understand the wisdom of devotion, and we understand devotion accurately, such a devotion is the absolute quality for any kind of realization, any fruition. Realization of the true nature, realization of what you are doing, who you are as a person and a practitioner, can't happen in a mind that doesn't have devotion. So that's absolutely essential. But the Western way has a good point, is that it does emphasize investigation so that it doesn't become a cult. That's very, very true. Because the wisdom aspect of it is missing. That is more like imitation, more a way of being fascinated with the persona of the person or the culture of that person, and more a wish to imitate that person and to be part of that imitation circle. That kind of comes with respect, though, love and respect also, but not necessarily being able to really work with the essence that is coming from the teachings and the teacher. So which is devotion, which is the very, let's say, right kind of devotion. And so it will come back into his samaya, which is essential. Why it is essential is that, as we said earlier also, is that if you are taking teachings from a teacher, and that is why a teacher is important, then being able to put the teaching into practice, maintaining the samaya of what you have received, is just like a cup full of nectar, and then knowing how to consume that, how to utilize that. That would be the devotion aspect, being able to really work on it. Simply liking the person because you've gotten a cup full of nectar is respect. That's love and respect. Being able to then take the nectar and then use it in such a way that it better manifests what you have received, then that's devotion.
Okay. Metaphorically, I grasp the difference. I was wondering if you could take me through the subtle changes of mind or discrete mental events from, say, just having a conversation to generating the state of devotion.
Let me go through this way.
Okay.
In the beginning, one is fascinated. One either doesn't know something or one questions something. Each factor plays a kind of a coincidence in your life, which gives you the first breakthrough. They can come in the form of parents. They can come in the form of events and circumstances. They can come in the form of, as we Buddhists would say, ripening of one's own karma, and the mindhood itself questions certain things. Any of these reasons would then be the first coincidence, the first triggering coincidence, and you would become fascinated with certain things. And so you would enter, and you would be very excited about what you're doing. Eventually, you would also realize, and this is probably not for everyone, but it's a common approach, happens in most of our lives. You begin to realize that what you were fascinated with actually entails a lot of hard work. And then there is resistance. So when the resistance then leaves you with two things, you either turn your back to it, Or again, furthermore, you meet with the second coincidences, which gives you the courage to go on without turning your back to what you were inspired with in the beginning stages. These can be abbots, tutors, parents, friends, teachers. Again, these could also be life's event. Just when you thought what you had chosen to do was so difficult, someone dies. And the death just happens to be in the right moment, no matter how much a profound suffering we've gone through. But it also enables the person to take a further step and exert much more courage to go through that. So then, people who turn back, they often get lost or deviated from that. Then those who continue to work further, then comes to a point where one sees that no matter how hard it is, nothing else makes sense. That's the first devotion that you get. And that may happen to a person, or because of a person, or a circumstance, and again, different kinds of people, preferably the doctrine. That would be the best, is that you begin to say, it makes sense. And so we still suffer from fear, hesitation, hope, but at the same time, there is also a kind of an unshakable conviction that what you have chosen to do, ultimately you can't turn back, because that is what makes sense. That is then the first stages, as I said. Now, here at this level, if this person meets with a good teacher, a good person, a good spiritual friend, then that further refines that devotion. You don't get an additional devotion. That devotion just begins to flourish under that care. And that becomes irreversible confidence, which is then unshakable by circumstances, by people, even the teacher.